morning or afternoon, I don't know anymore. There should be a clicker somewhere. I'll be with you in a second. Fantastic. Thank you. Hi. Are you aware of Nest or know a little bit what we do? Okay. Things accelerated a lot for us in the past 18 months. Something happened. 5 years ago, we were 16 people in a garage in Palo Alto. So it was the true icon of the startup in a garage. And things went like a rocket ship. So before the Google acquisitions, we were about 250 people. And when we started the whole process 5 years ago, we didn't even have a prototype of the Nest Learning Thermostat. So we really started off on that. In less than a year, we brought the first product out. And since the acquisition, things have been really accelerating. So it went from 1 product to 3 products and a few other things that we'll talk about now. What I want to talk about is not just about us and what we do. It's not really the main thing, but this was the purpose. This was how we started the whole thing. And this was really the vision of the home. And the home for us was very special. So we designed really products like if it was for us. And these were products we liked. And the story started with Tony, who used to be at Apple designing a few iPods. So he did the first 18 iPods with Steve and the first 3 iPhones. And he was building a home for his family in Lake Tahoe. And when he started to build a home, he asked the architect, bring me the best thermostat in my home. And he was very focused on energy, so wanted this home to be very passive and very energy efficient. The architect brought a few products, which we put in the Nest Museum now, and they looked more ugly one than the other. And he said, how can it be that at the stage where we have a smartphone in our pocket, a microcomputer in our pocket every day, that we have so ugly devices which are non-engaging? And this is started with that, with a home is very special, is very personal. Now, the products that we have in the home are exactly that. And it's what we could call habituation. We get used to the worst. And we get used with this for the past 50, 60, 70 years. Most of those products that we see here that we use every day haven't changed much. And we just learn to ignore them. They're just there, but we don't pay any more attention to it. But some of those products are super important. If you take the thermostat, for instance, the reason we built that is the thermostat was in one single product concentrating 60% of your energy bill. And if you could, optimize that at a time where energy is really like a big debate out there, this was really something important for us to do. So a lot of beige and a lot of plastic. I heard plastic in the previous presentation. Plastic could be good, but here it's pretty ugly. So the way we talk about those products, even today, and the way they're advertised, even the way those products interact with us, haven't changed much for some of them in the past 50, 60 years in their homes. So they are like, we get used to them. And if you see those ads, some of those ads are quite similar today. It's amazing what you can do with 7 buttons. It's amazing how complex it can get. It's amazing on programming thermostats, which, by the way, 80% of customers out there don't do, how complex it can be. On this day, but also when you get closer to Christmas and when you get out of the heating season, you don't reprogram again. And you probably heat a home when it's empty, and you're just spilling energy and money. So we took that premise and say, why do we have to be so a genius, have a crystal ball to guess what the weather is going to be tomorrow, and program that with 7 buttons and with our own human intelligence? And in the same way, you're away from home and your home is burning, or there is a smoke appearing in the home for whatever reasons. Why should you wait for the neighbor to call you that something is happening? Why can it not alert you on your phone? Why can you not have a smoke alarm that's really intelligent, getting smart, but giving you notification when the problem appears wherever you are? And in that fashion, a lot of what happened in industry was this. Is the home of the Jetsons. It was maybe home automation 1.0. I don't know if anybody recall that, but it's been very interesting to see like home automation or smart home packages that were coming in the market, like the all-in-one. And I think the learning we have is nobody buys like a smart home package. Customers buy products. Products that stand alone by themselves and have a purpose by themselves. But this idea of the home of the Jetsons is very interesting. Because at that time, the failure of this really was linked to a few things. One, products were never thought with software at the core. So the degree of obsolescence of those products was really, really high. Second, they were extremely complex to use. You need a PhD, and certainly never lose the user manual, because you'll be in deep trouble after. And thirdly, they were expensive. So at the end, it was more B2G than B2C, right? It was business to geeks versus business to consumers. So this was not our vision. And our idea was to say, how can we get away from habituation and have really products that are beautiful, smart, and do things for consumers in homes that have changed? These are our homes today. They're all different, but they don't look like a home for geeks. They look very human. And as we have our phones, how can we make our home fit on our phones? But not only just being connected. And let me just expand on that a little bit. It's not just about that. It's not just about the switch you had on the wall. You know, the 7 buttons you had on the thermostat, having them back into a smartphone. Because if we only have done that, we haven't done much. It's just a transpose of like telling an object what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. It's just the same. It just fits in the pocket, but it's just the same. So a lot of the products that we could see happening here and there are interesting. There are really two types of connected home products from our perspective. There are products where today you do all the work. You have to do everything. It's like going back to be a programmer with your phone and tilting switches on and off and telling your home what it should do when you're not there and when you're there. They're connected for sure. Our view is slightly different, is what we're talking out before. And it's not just about our products, is the philosophy behind that is that we want to use software, learning, algorithms, sensors, and connectivity to make sure that things happen when they need to happen, automatically behind the scenes. Products think for themselves. They stand alone on their own. They live their life on their own. They don't die if Wi-Fi dies. You know, your heating shouldn't die if your smartphone is out of battery. Your home should still work if your phone is off. And that's really the perspective we had when we were building our products. And the first one, you probably have seen that, but is really engaging. So who would have thought a thermostat could look like this? But this is really the idea that the thermostat was actually not conceived as a thermostat and connected on top. It was actually thought as a smartphone. This is built like a smartphone. It had 32 software updates. It has its own operating system. It has its radios. It has no hubs. This is the way it had to rework. And be engaging as well. When you go in front of it, it lights your way. It has the activity sensor, proximity sensor. So it's there. It's with you. You're engaged. And it programs for you. It knows when you're away or when you're at home. The other one we had was Nest Protect. Nest Protect is, yes, it's a smoke alarm. It's a smoke and carbon monoxide alarm. When we look at this, we thought those products were another category of products that were really ugly, but we got habituated so much. You're probably used to it. I don't know how many of us here in this room have had like the chirp at night. It's funny, it's always happens during the night. But it's really annoying. It beeps and then you get 10 minutes with no beeps and you're trying to see which one is beeping. And then you go to the next one as the other one is beeping. And you need your ladder and you're never quite sure. So, and of course, everybody in this room knows that you have to test your smoke alarm once a week. Do you? So nobody does it, right? And in 75% of the fires in Europe and in the US is the same. There is a smoke alarm, but the batteries are dead. So we're really well protected. And again, there were so many things that were conceived wrong, but they're like dated 70 years back. They haven't changed. So the idea was not to say, let's take a white page and rechange everything, but what are the few things that we need to do for the customer using software, using sensors, using intelligence? The first one is people never test their smoke alarm. We need to check the batteries are working and give you a signal if the batteries are to fail. So the way we do it is we use the software and we use the light sensors. When the light goes off, we go into test mode. But actually during the whole day, we test ourselves 400 times a day. So 400 times a day, we just go in the routines on the software. We'll just check all the sensors, proximity sensors, humidity sensors, temperature sensors, heat sensors, carbon monoxide, and so on. And batteries, and you see that in the app too. So that's really like some of the things we did. The other piece we did is also making those products emotionally connected to you. So when you go underneath at night, it's a feature that a lot of kids love, it will light your way. So it's also, you know, a path light when you go away at night. So this is some of the thoughtful things that we said the product should do. And same, it had a software update. Who would have thought a smoke alarm would get a software update? That's the way we test ourselves. It's just a simple sound that will happen when you schedule it to test that the speaker and the alarm are really working. Not just the battery, but also we have a microphone and it tests the speaker. So we make sound, the microphone detects that the sound is really happening, everything goes fine. It's the first smoke alarm that does that. The other piece that we thought we should have there, because homes have changed. Homes today burn 5 times faster than homes of the 70s. Yeah, 5 times faster. It's about minutes, it's a few minutes. Nobody really is really clearly aware of that. But that's because of the materials we use. We use polyurethane, MDF, different fabrics, different chemicals for paint. So the fires have changed. And we still detect fires in the same way than in the 70s for most products. So we went back to like engineering that. No user will see what's happening inside, but there are 2 photoelectric sensors, different wavelength for detecting different types of particles. But again, the customer doesn't have to be an engineer to understand that. It just has to work. It's a safety device. When we build Nest Protect, and I just want to finish one last point on that, is we wanted those products to speak to you with voice and color, rather than with the chirp at night or the beep, or the telegraphic code. But we wanted them to be interconnected. And as those devices work off battery plus Wi-Fi doesn't always work well together. And Wi-Fi could be multiple iterations of Wi-Fi and different complexities. So when we built that, we thought we should have a radio inside Nest Protect that allows us to speak to all of the Nest Protect into the room, whether Wi-Fi router is melting downstairs or not. It's back to products standing on their own and working on their own, right? So we did build that. So when there is a smoke alarm, it says, hey, there's a fire in the bedroom. It tells that you with the voice of mommy, because it's a feature of the product to make sure kids really pay attention to that, and scientifically proven. And we repeat that signal across all of them. So there is fire in the bedroom, there is fire in the bedroom. So we use the networking layer there, which is actually not Wi-Fi. We use a thread. It's an 802.15.4 stack, which is very battery efficient, which is multi-device. It's about hundreds of devices, future-proof, is secure. So we built that based on 6LoWPAN and a few other components, and brought that into Nest Protect on top of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth LE, which is into the product. So that's the way we thought about that. But as we had Thread, 802.15.4, we said, how can we interact all our Nest products into the home together? For example, you got fire, it goes red on Nest Protect. It gives you an indication on the Nest Learning Thermostat, red as well, smoke. And it also starts to trigger Nest Cam to record a clip and upload it to the cloud. You don't have to do anything. This happened like magic in the background. And this is really like a lot more than connected. This is the products do a lot on their own, and on top they get better when they get added next to each other. So we talked a lot about artificial intelligence, and I talk a lot about intelligence assistance. This is really about how we can make those scenarios, those use cases really happen in the background so they make sense for the home. is assisting customers, homeowners, renters when they need it most, especially in the case of safety or energy or a few other things. So this is really about IA more than AI. So how does it look like for beyond Nest? And the home could be conceived with multiple products, and not all of them get, as we said, smart because they're just connected. So we started the program a year ago, which really was this idea of how can we connect the out-of-home, like a car, with your home, and start to help that scenario to trigger the heating at the right time and save even more energy and bring more comfort. So we worked that with Mercedes. So the ETA from the car is sent through the Mercedes cloud, shared with the Nest cloud, and your car knows it's 30 minutes away from your home. It's not your address, it's just the ETA from the GPS. And then your heating starts to kick in. Very simple, it works today in Europe and in the US. In the same way, when you case safety, it's a very basic scenario, but you get smoke happening into your home for whatever reasons. I'm a bad cook, so that will be it. You get smoke, and then it starts to trigger a light bulb. And the use case for that was really, if you've got people who are hearing impaired, you can speak or beep or whatever you want, but you need to get also visual notification. The red color you have seen there is also a color that they could see really well through smoke. When you see smoke, you don't want to use blue or like white because you don't see that really well. So it's a way to signal an exit really well. So we started to work on that with Philips and with LifeX, and actually we've got an integration with both of those companies. So you got smoke, goes to the cloud of Nest and shared back with the cloud of Philips or LifeX or SRAM now. So that was called the Works with Nest program. And as we started that, we saw customers really embracing it and starting to use it day in, day out. So we have 1 in 8 customers using it every day. It doesn't mean they have a fire every day, right? But they use those interactions every day. And that's all in a lot of countries, which is really great to see. And when we started that, we started a very humble way, and now we have about 11,000 developers that are working around Works with Nest. So this is really great. And you see brands there that could be white goods. So what is the use case between your fridge and your thermostat? Well, if your thermostat knows you're away, how can you tell your fridge that if I'm away, nobody's going to open the doors, so I can run the compressor lower and save kilowatts of energy? So it's really using some very specific information to make very simple use cases that make sense, so that the sum of the all parts gets just better. So the way we do it is very simple. It's hard to do, but it's simple in principle. It's a cloud-to-cloud integration. It's the APIs with Nest product, a cloud, real-time. We share a status between our products in the read-write confidentially with your product, and an action happens. Smoke equals red light. Mercedes, ETA, 30 minutes, sent back to the thermostat via the cloud. That requires Wi-Fi, okay? So that's the Wi-Fi scenario. That's great. But in some scenario, you need a low latency. You need to have those interactions really happening quick. Security, safety, fire. Wi-Fi is maybe not the best option. But also the other piece of that is a lot of the objects we're going to connect to the home operate on battery. And you don't want to have networks that are going to exhaust batteries every other day and be changing your batteries every other day, and not even know when you have to change which one and not have the right battery at the right time. So the other piece we've introduced actually a few months ago was the technology we had in Nest Protect to make them speak together, the interconnect. We made it public. So this is Thread. So Thread is a way to be in the same room, in the same home, and be able to notice each other's. We know we're in the same room. There's a fridge, there's a thermostat. We don't yet speak the same language, but we can see each other's. So Thread is 8.2.15.4, and since we launched that, actually I should go back there. Since we launched that, I'll talk about this week then. We have about 200 members that joined it. So it's an open alliance. We're just one part of that, and you see silicon vendors and other people there. There is no hub required. It's a hubless strategy, but you can then have products seeing each other's. The second piece we've added since October 1st to make this smart home more intelligent is Nest Weave. We're using Nest Weave in our products today, and we've also said we're going to open that as well. So on the 1st of October, we said Nest Weave will be a great way for products to actually start to speak the same language. You're not anymore just in the same room, but you know which language each product is talking. And you know how to describe products so that the fridge is described by these characteristics, these sensors. The thermostat is described by these sensors too. So this is called schemas, right? So you can have literally a profile for one product. And then you can start to say, hey, I'm in the same room. We're going to speak on low power network, very instant, low latency. And on top, I know exactly what you are doing and what I am doing. So I can intersect things in the same way. Smoke equals red light, or away equals eco-saving mode on my white goods, or some other things. So we've just announced it October 1st. The SDK will be available next year. And we think that's going to fast-track a lot of what's going to happen. It's going to be very easy for developers to bring this idea of like a more connected home between lots of different products. So this is where we're heading, if the clicker works. So Nest Weave is the application layer that sits on top of Thread. No hub required, and free program starting next year. So this is a great way to make sure that we get away from this home from the Jetsons, where we were selling like a all-in-one package, to this, where consumers will not be geeks, not engineers. They don't have to figure out which hub you need for what, which protocols you need to make those products speak together, and for developers to create those experiences. But the point here is every customer will be able to build his home the way he wants, product by product. And that's for us a very, very fundamental point. And to summarize that and to maybe close there is one view where really you do all the work, and there is another one where the products do all the work. And we are definitely going for the second one. Thank you very much.